live chat, which is coming to you from Wrocław, Poland. And today I am wearing a microphone, so hopefully you'll be able to hear me better than has been done in previous videos. Now today I'm not going to talk about campervans and motorhomes. I'm going to talk about something which I did my very first live talk on, or would have done if I got the thing to work. Today I'm going to talk about something called intermittent fasting and what it actually does. So and most people watch this channel are of similar age to me, so this may be of help, but I wish this is something I'd known about many years before. Now I've entitled this video that this is the third day without food or water. That's true, it is the third day, but it's not 72 hours. I stopped, the last time I ate or drank anything was at 1800 hours the day before yesterday. So my fasting so far is what? It's about 42 hours. And that's all. And so what's the point of fasting? The main point, I think, is for health reasons, and it has all sorts of benefits, such as autophagy. Autophagy is when cells replace themselves, and so this could have all sorts of benefits, particularly in the fight against some diseases. And there is a certain amount of suggested evidence, let's put it that way, that it might actually help with even severe diseases such as cancer, for example. But it might help. I'm not suggesting it's a cure or anything. I'm not suggesting anything's a cure. And next thing is on weight loss. Now, when I started this in 2017, March 2017, I started doing intermittent fasting. Then I'd never heard of it until I started doing it, and I found a couple of books which had been written on it. And if you go on the internet, you put in intermittent fasting, everybody and their dog is doing videos on intermittent fasting. But then 5 years ago, or 5.5 years ago, there wasn't really much information on it. In fact, there's a number of YouTube doctors or chiropractors which I follow, and none of them at the time even mentioned it. They got into it much later. So the number one benefit, I'd have to say, is on weight loss. I don't know how much I weighed in March 2017, but I had been at my mother's place where there's a scale, and I weighed just a touch under 80 kilos, and by the time I hit my minimum I was down to 67.4, I think, or 67.6 maybe it was. Unfortunately, all those benefits have now largely, well, not largely, I'm now around 74, 75, something like that. So I've regained more than half of the weight. So that's the yo-yo effect. But there's other benefits as well. Now, why did I regain the weight? I think, from what I now know, that the biggest single problem in my case was probably the thing is this: when you have a calorie restriction, the reason why you get the yo-yo diets is because certain features get turned off. And I think what I should have done was I should have exercised far more heavily. I think that, and particularly on things like weight training, I've got absolutely no strength in my arms whatsoever, whereas my legs are quite strong. My arms are utterly useless. In fact, a few days ago we had to take the roof tent off a camper van, and my help was, I think, next to nothing. I mean, it was a 60 kilo roof tent. It's a rather awkward thing to sort of manipulate, but all the same, I think the other person took all the weight and I took absolutely none of it. well, must have taken a little bit, but not a lot of it. So the thing is this: I wish I had done things more into strength training. Next thing which has happened is increase in testosterone. So before I did it, last time I had a check, I had a testosterone level which was more or less average for somebody of my age, and after within 2 years of it, it had shot up to that of a person, average of a person who was 32 years old. So that was I was quite pleased at that one result. And well, anyway, again, next thing is though, right, how do I feel? This is the question, right? I haven't eaten now for 44 hours. How do I feel? And the answer is, I feel absolutely, I feel normal. I am a little bit on the hungry side, although because I've been doing this, I mean, I'm intermittent fasting. It's between, you don't either eat one meal a day, so you go like 22 hours without eating, because it takes me ages to eat, and including the cooking time as well. And the road's been blocked. I'll go back this way, and you see there's some work on the road, on the path. And either one meal a day, or I'll do a 16 hours approximately. One of the things with intermittent fasting is that if you're with other people, it's very difficult to actually make it work, because you go out with people and they eat and you don't. I mean, it feels a bit embarrassing sometimes. I mean, I've done it a couple of times, but then I've given up. I try to eat around it. And another thing which I do is, if somebody invites me out for a meal, or round to their place for a meal, then I'll stuff myself before going. Because the thing is this: you eat, obviously you're trying to get in 2,000 calories or whatever a day, approximately. I mean, I don't measure calories, but you see, and so if you know you're going to have a real nice meal at their place, but then you don't want to appear too greedy, then you sort of limit it a bit. So that's what I do. Now, to return to my current condition, I haven't drunk anything either, so there's been no fluids, and there is the point of this is there is evidence to suggest that it gives much greater autophagy. So that's why I've done this. I must admit though, I'm not particularly thirsty at the moment, and I don't feel, I mean, it'd be nice to have a cup of coffee or something, as it always is, but it's not anything actually special. Not only that, last night I slept, I don't know, 10 hours, something like that, no problem, didn't wake up, and no, that everything so far is good. Now, apparently, you go into a state. Now, in ancient Greek philosophers and the others would go off into the wilderness and not eat and drink, and this sort of gave them the lucidity of mind to come up with some of their great works. Now, I've never actually had that, although having said that, the longest fast I ever did was 60 hours. And the longest water fast, I think, is the one I'm doing right now, actually, come to think of it. Now, apparently, there's a risk of you feeling dizzy. I mean, the last time I did a 60-hour fast, and I did feel, I was out at doing a guided tour around, I was in the audience, but it was a guided tour around the town, and I thought, yeah, I feel really weak, I better have something to eat. So now one thing that really does help with this is a thing called apple cider vinegar. If you get natural apple cider vinegar, which you can get from a health store, and you take a bit of that, and it really takes the hunger pangs away. Now, as I understand it, I remember reading that the hunger pangs go away after 24 hours. That's not true. And then I don't know when they go away. Maybe it takes 3 days or something of that nature. That I just don't know at all. But hopefully I will. I'll get to that point before long. Now, I wouldn't suggest this to everyone. There are people who might be taking medications or something like that, but I can say this, in my opinion, this here is working quite well. Now, one thing I would do, this is a YouTube channel which is about vehicles and driving, and one thing I would definitely say, in the same way as you shouldn't drink before driving, I personally don't think you should fast before driving anyway. I'm not suggesting that your concentration is lessened. Indeed, it's argued, as I said about the ancient Greek philosophers, that you get to a point where your concentration is much greater. That may be the case, but I would say to anybody who's going to try it, then do have, before driving, have something to eat. It might even make you a bit tired, and if you get tired after eating, that could actually even be a simple sign that something else is wrong with you, such as sugars. Anyway, don't know. Okay, so that's the day's video coming to you from Wrocław in Poland, and I did a number of things. I was going to do lots of videos. I thought I'd just track my progress on this intermittent fasting journey, but then everybody started to do it, and I thought, oh well, what's the point? And they possibly know more about medicine than I do, so I won't do it. But now, how am I going to break the fast? The first thing I believe you have to do to break your fast is to use some type of protein, 100% protein. I've got this pea protein, which I'm going to use. Now, pea protein is highly refined, and I don't normally eat refined food at all. I do actually sometimes have it, though, when I remember. Sorry, I think the thing went off. I will be having the pea protein, and that is, and I'll be having some apple cider vinegar, and then I'll wait an hour or so, and then I'll have something, the sort of things I normally eat, like onions and garlic and eggs and that type of thing. So that's how I intend to break it. Okay, thanks very much for being with me today. If you find that of interest, then if you've got any questions about it, incidentally, write them down below, and I'll try and answer them. The problem with many of the people doing intermittent fasting things is they're trying to sell something. And when you think about fasting, though, it's free of charge. You can't really sell anything, and that's the advantage of this diet over any other diet. And but if you have, they're probably trying to sell a plan or something, so or supplements to go with it. But anyway, for me, there's none of those things. So thanks very much for watching, and all the best from me in Wrocław, Poland.